Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one, since I'm back in Lund, we are going to kick off and do some more Swedish beer reviews. So for this one, we are going to head up to Göteborg here in Sweden, or Gothenburg as you would say in English, and we've got a nice Imperial IPA to look at. This beer was very kindly given to me by my friend Andreas from Ölresan, really nice little beer blog here in southern Sweden, and this is one that he says I'll really enjoy. So this guy is the Imperial IPA, a collaboration brew between Brewing and Stigbergets Bryggeri, both from Gothenburg. This is my very first encounter with Stigbergets, of course, but I have reviewed the Baltic Porter from Brewing before, and that was really nice. And Andreas has said this beer is really pretty good. It's rated 90 overall on Rate Beer and 41 within the style, so that tells you it should be a really nice double IPA, but it probably will be kind of quirky within that style. And if I remember rightly, that's what the one from Brewing was as well, and the two guys that are involved in Brewing are quite closely linked with Stigbergets as well, so it should be an interesting review and I hope you guys enjoy it. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the breweries involved here. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery websites, linked to my other reviews from Brewing, and a link to my reviews that hopefully I can do in the future from Stigbergets. It's very first time I'm trying one of their beers, of course. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do subscribe to the channel. The whole channel uses a geography-based tagging system, so you can go in and search for beers based on country, city or state, whatever you're interested in. There's also playlists of the beers from different countries as well that you can check out. Do check out the sake and whiskey reviews, as well as the interviews and other things on the channel as well. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries you guys would like to see me review here on the channel. Always interesting to hear from you guys, and your support is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Stigbergets Bryggeri first of all. So these guys, like I mentioned to you, are based in Gothenburg, and they were founded by Nils Hultkrantz and Richard Simonsson. So the pair actually own two bars that share one kitchen. This is Bar Kino and Hagebjörn's Cafe, which are located on Linnegatan in the city, and both opened up back in 2007. So originally the idea was to brew a few beers that they could sell in the bars, and this eventually led to them actually kegging the beer and selling it on to other pubs, and also eventually to bottling the beers starting in November 2014. So the original beers were mainly English and German styles, but more recently they've expanded and started experimenting with the more hoppy American styles of beer. They actually started out with a 1,000 litre brew kit from Slovakia, but they upgraded to a 2,000 litre JTM system from Denmark in December 2015, and apparently they want to double this as soon as they can, whenever they can afford it basically, because there's a big demand for their beers now. But Niels and Richard are joined at the brewery by two brewers and another three people who deal with logistics, packaging and various other things. And from what Andreas has told me, this is a brewery that you really do want to keep an eye out. He said that Stigbergets are producing some really awesome stuff, and I thank you as well to Niels from Stigbergets Bryggeri for actually giving me the information on the brewery, because this was one brewery I was struggling to find anything on, and he dropped me a nice email with all of the information that I was needing, so big thank you to Niels for that. So a little bit about Brewing then. So Brewing are based in Gothenburg as well, as you might have guessed, and they were founded back in 2011 by Olaf and Ola Andersson, who are childhood friends, and for many years they were also avid home brewers. So the pair have always been really interested in beers, and Ole apparently has been heavily involved in the Gothenburg beer scene pre-drinking age. He's actually the head brewer with Stigbergets Bryggeri, and this is where the beers are produced, of course, so this is why you have this collaboration beer. But Ole is actually brewing, while Ole is actually brewing, Olof manages the business side of the brewery, and apparently they just really enjoy making beers that they would want to drink for themselves. So you have this really kind of quite good collaboration there, and yeah, it seems to work really well for them. Brewing produce some really nice beers, and as I say, I've heard that Stigbergets do some really nice things as well. So if you want to see the other things that are available from both of these breweries, do check out the websites in the description below, and hopefully I can do some more from both of them in the very near future. As I said, first encounter with Stigbergets, but my second encounter with Brewing, so definitely looking forward to this one. So anyway, let's get stuck into this beer then. So as I said, this guy is an 8% double IPA. I'll just let you have a little quick look at the artwork and things before we open this guy up. It's quite nicely presented. This, when Andreas gave me this beer, I think he said that the name, it seemed to have the nickname Black Cat, but Niels from Stigbergets told me that isn't the official name. The official name is just and Stigbergets Imperial IPA. So it should be really nice. It says on the side here that the cat is the artwork of Mikael Dalnes, and it has the address for Stigbergets Bryggeri on the side too. Tells you a little bit about the thing. 8% Starkul. And yeah, nicely presented. There's the Stigbergets bottle cap on this one. So yeah, quite simple artwork, but quite modern and effective, I would say. But the beer looks really nice. There's a good bit of sediment visible in this one, so we'll get it out and into the glass. Really looking forward to this one. And once again, thank you to Andreas for picking this beer up for me. So yeah, nice smoky opening on this one then. Quite a bit of carbonation rushing up there, but we'll get it out and into the glass. And I tell you something, you can really smell some of the nice kind of tropical fruits. I'm getting a lot of these kind of lighter tropical notes that you would expect of the citra hop actually. I'm getting these kind of gooseberry things coming out of this one just as I pour it. So that's quite interesting. So as you can see, this beer's poured a really quite light, bright yellowy orange amber colour, this one. I put my fingers behind it. You can see there is a degree of transparency to it, but it is really quite opaque, almost completely opaque in fact. There's a good little bit of sediment particle just floating around there, some big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass and quite a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of that head. That head, before it kind of faded away, I guess, was about maybe a quarter finger or something like that, but definitely a kind of plain white head, not really a sort of creamy coloured head or anything like that, but it looks very nice, kind of exactly as you'd expect from an IPA. Really nice bright yellow colour on this one. So let's take a look at the aroma then. Now, yeah, that smells like a really juicy tropical fruit. It's really, for me, it's really a lot of citra hop that's coming out on this one. It really does smell just like a big kind of citra hoppy thing. I do wonder if maybe there's some New Zealand hops in there as well. But more than anything, it seems to be citra that's sticking out of this one for me. So with this one, I think there's maybe a little bit of passion fruit in there. I think, yeah, there's a bit of passion fruit in there coming out. But there's these nice mangoes, maybe sort of peaches, apricots and things like that. I'm getting a little bit of a kind of gooseberry note. That's what really makes me think that it's citra in here. It really has a little bit of a gooseberry smell to it, this one. Of course, you get a little bit of floral aromaticity and grassiness under there, but definitely for me, there has to be citra hop in here. Maybe there's a little bit of New Zealand hop as well, but I think definitely this is a citra hop IPA. I'm not really picking up any oranges or anything like that in this. Maybe a little bit. You can smell it. For me, when I sugar it up, there's a teeny bit of earthiness coming out. So that makes me wonder if there's maybe some mosaic in there as well, because that's a characteristic of that hop. There's just this teeny little bit of earthiness, and mosaic can also give you some of these quite interesting, really tropical fruit notes as well. But I'm getting a little bit of a kind of juicy caramel coming out of it. When it's 8%, you would expect a little bit of that boozy character to shine through. And there's some nice kind of bready character coming out of this as well from the malt base. So yeah, it's big and bready. There's a bit of the kind of caramel sort of notes that you'd expect when it's as boozy as this. But really for me, it's leaning towards these nice juicy tropical fruits. So I'm not getting any of the sour kind of grapefruit things that you can sometimes get. But for me, it smells like really kind of overwhelmingly like it's a citra hopped IPA, this one. I think maybe a little bit of mosaic. But it could maybe have some Simcoe as well. There's maybe a little bit of passion fruit in there. I'm not sure about that right enough, but there's definitely citra. I don't think Amarillo though, there's not a strong enough orange note. I might be wrong about that, but I don't think there's Amarillo in this. But really, as I say, the aroma, it's got a bit of breadiness, a bit of caramel, but it's got those nice, lighter, juicier notes that you always expect to citra. A bit of peaches, apricots, mangoes, and some of that gooseberry character as well. A bit of floral aromaticity and grassiness too, but overall it just smells like a lovely kind of juicy tropical double IPA, this one. And as I say, Andreas spoke of this very highly. So let's get stuck into this beer then. So this one is the Imperial IPA from Brewing and Stigbergets Bryggeri up in Gothenburg here in Sweden. Skål! That's nice. It actually comes across really differently in the mouth than it does from the aroma. This one, it's interesting, it's got more of a malty character to it than I was expecting. And I have to admit, I do like these, when a double IPA has a bit of malt content to it. There's a lot of double IPAs will just go and, you know, they'll just absolutely blast the thing with hops, and you don't get such a kind of caramel malt thing out of it. And I like it when you have that balance between the juicy fruits, the tropical fruits, and the maltiness. So for me, this one really actually does hit the spot quite well. Yeah, that's really nice. I certainly would drink that again if I could get a hold of it. So thank you to Andreas once again for giving me this beer. This is pretty good, and I can see why he thought quite highly of this one. So yeah, in the middle of your palate, there's a sort of pale malty character that just kind of underpins the beer. On top of that, you can feel a little bit of the kind of heavier bready notes coming out of this one. Then you can feel the richer caramel, just right in the middle of the tongue, that nice rich caramel, and maybe a little bit of a kind of grainy character in there, or some sort of biscuity, syrupy sweetness actually. You've got an interesting malt base to this one, and it has a little bit of boozy warmth. I'm feeling a little bit of booziness just down here from this one, which for 8%, for a double IPA, this is on the lower side of the double IPA scale, I would say. But it does feel a little bit heavier because of the booze warmth that it has. But this is good. This certainly is really nice. So around the edges of the palate, it's interesting, this one. There is a wee bit of pine resin there kind of underpinning it, but it's really not that prominent. It starts to push its way out as you come into the aftertaste. For me, it's more a lighter kind of floral thing that I'm getting on the sides of the palate here. This of course is where the hops will come out. There's maybe a little bit of earthiness in the back corner of the palate there too. Again, that makes me wonder if there's a bit of mosaic in there, because that gives you some of these nice tropical fruits, but it does have a little bit of earthy character to it. So I do wonder if that's in there. But it's certainly, there's definitely some citra hop in here. On the taste, there's definitely that. But yeah, I'm getting more of the kind of grapefruity characters coming out of this one. If you just go behind that front curve of the palate there, that's where you get the little oily bubble, and that's where these fruity esters come out on your palate. So there's definitely a little bit of grapefruit kind of underpinning that, but it's not too prominent. I think there is a bit of orange in there too. I think there's a wee bit of that. There's some, maybe some passion fruit or something as well. There's a lot in these nice juicier characteristics coming out that you'd expect from the citra as well though. Yeah, I think there's passion fruit in there. There's maybe a little bit of a kind of mango thing. I'm not quite sure if there's the sharpness of peach in this one. I always found peaches a little bit sharp, and I don't think that's coming out of this. But when you move more into the aftertaste, there's a little bit more of these lighter, juicier tropical fruits. Maybe a little bit of lychee or some gooseberry. I can really feel that just as the flavour progresses and it moves away from the grapefruit and the orange, which are the more oily, fruity characters, I would say. But the fruity character in this one is really nice. It's got a good bit of complexity to it, and what I like about this beer is just how balanced it is with the malt. You've got a good presence from the caramel, and it's got a good little bit of alcohol warmth to it as well, but it's a little bit different because it's not big and syrupy when it comes to the caramel. There's just a little bit of it. The malt base in this one does feel a little bit more bready, which is quite interesting. For me, it's a little bit unique in that regard. But yeah, hoppy side of things, a little bit earthy in the back corners, but as you come further forward you can feel just a little bit of pine resin underpinning it, a big floral aromaticity and some lighter grassiness around the front curve of the palate, and then you've got all these nice juicy fruits going on that I was talking about. But this is a really, really nice beer. In the double IPA category, it is quite unique. Like I was saying, it was rated 90 overall on Rate Beer, but then 41 within the style. So that tells you it should be a bit quirky. And what makes it a bit different for me is, like I was saying, this malt base in this one feels as if it's a bit more bready than you're normally going to get from a double IPA. Usually a double IPA has more of a kind of boozy caramel malt base, but for me, this higher breadiness that it has, it really works and makes it quite interesting and quite unique. So I would certainly drink this beer again, and I love the complexity that the fruit character has. It really mixes well with the bready malts actually, so they've done this beer really quite well. But when you've got two breweries that are very highly regarded in Sweden involved in this beer, you know, you're certainly not going to be disappointed with it. So I really hope I can try some more of the Stigbergets ones and more of the OOs. They're a little bit more difficult to get down here in Skåne right enough, but hopefully I can get up to Gothenburg and buy a couple of these, because this one is really good, and the other one from OO that I had, the porter, was very nice as well. So in terms of recommending this beer, if you like citra hop, you're going to enjoy this beer. If you like bready character, you're going to enjoy this beer, and if you like a little bit of alcohol warmth, you're going to enjoy this beer. So if you like those, if you think those flavours would go well, you certainly are going to enjoy this. This beer is for fans of the citra hop, and I think probably it's got a little bit more orangey character as the flavour goes on, I think. But if you like a nice fruity beer that doesn't, if you like a double IPA that doesn't really blast you with a hot bitterness, then this is one you're going to enjoy. This one's a bit more balanced towards the malt, and it's unique in the fact that it has these bready characters. So if you want something a little bit different from your double IPAs, this is one you definitely want to check out. In terms of the mouthfeel of this beer, I'd say this one's mid-bodied. It's got a nice kind of sweetness from the malt base. The carbonation is actually quite smooth on this one. It's got a little bit of an, it's not quite as oily as some of the double IPAs I've come across right enough. It has a little bit of a wetter mouthfeel, but that oily character is probably more because the caramel malt isn't so prominent in this one. But you've got a nice hoppy bitterness to this, a smoother malt base, as I say, because the bread is more prominent, but you've got a bit of sweetness from the caramel right in the middle of the palate too. There was a wee bit of dryness from it, from the slightly grainy character I was getting, but there's a big fruity juicy character to this one, which is really quite nice. So overall, it's a very, very well balanced IPA. I certainly would drink it again, and like I said, it's quite unique because of that, the higher prominence of the bready and kind of pale malt characteristics in this one. Usually it's caramel, like I said, from a double IPA, but in this beer it really works. So yeah, if you get the chance to try this one, the Imperial IPA from Brewing and Stigbergets, you certainly will enjoy it. So make sure you check it out. But yeah, big thank you once again to Andreas for giving me this beer, and thank you to Niels at Stigbergets for actually giving me the information on their brewery as well. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this review. As always, please let me know in the comments section below your own thoughts on this beer and the two breweries involved. Always interesting to hear from you guys. So until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Check out my social media, and once again, thank you for watching. If you get the chance, check out the Imperial IPA from Brewing and Stigbergets up in Gothenburg here in Sweden. Really cool to review this one, and I'll catch you soon with many more beer reviews. A lot more Swedish things to come for you over the next wee while. Slange just now, and I'll catch you very soon. Cheers.